Shocking and sad breaking news. Virginia Giuffre, one of the key witnesses in the Epstein case that her statements help blow this whole case open, says she has 4 days to live. The report from the Daily Mail, Jeffrey Epstein sex trafficking victim, Virginia Giuffre's disturbing Instagram post claims they've given me 4 days to live. Miss Giuffre, née Roberts, 41, shared a photograph of herself from her hospital bed covered in bruises. She had said she suffered in a smash with a speeding bus. Posting to Instagram overnight on Sunday, the sex abuse survivor says she has suffered kidney failure and begged to see her children one last time before she dies. They've given me 4 days to live, transferring me to a specialist hospital in urology. This year has been the worst start to a new year, but I won't bore anyone with the details. But I think it's important to note that when a school bus driver comes at you driving 110 kilometers an hour, as we were slowing down for a turn, that no matter what your car is made of, it might as well be a tin can. It does not know where or when the crash happened. We can see in the image, she's in a hospital bed, appears to be seriously injured. For those that are familiar or not familiar, Virginia Giuffre is one of the witnesses who says that she was abused by Prince Andrew of the UK. She has been one of the major components in how this story ended up coming to light. Now, I could be getting a little bit of this wrong, but I believe the details are there was a defamation case that Mike Cernovich and the Miami Herald, I believe it started with Mike Cernovich filing a lawsuit. The Miami Herald jumped on board using considerable journalistic resources, got these documents released. Some of these witness statements helped blow the whole Epstein case wide open. He was shortly thereafter arrested. In 2019, they say he died in prison by suicide. They're going to say even Miss Giuffre's father, Sky Roberts, was shocked by his daughter's late night Instagram post saying, "Virginia, my daughter, I love you, and praying you get the correct treatment to live a long and healthy life. If there's anything in the world I can do to help you, please let me know. My spirit is with you now, holding your hand." Miss Giuffre's last known address was with her estranged husband, Robert Giuffre, and their 3 children in Western Australia. American-born Giuffre met her Australian martial arts instructor husband when she was 19 during a trip to Thailand. Now, we do have an update from on the Epstein files. FBI agents, FOIA staff pulling all-nighters reviewing Jeffrey Epstein files. And we're supposed to be getting some information, though many people are questioning whether this information could ever actually get out. Of course, the speculation then is what happened to one of the principal witnesses to the Epstein, I don't know what you want to call it, criminal enterprise. Is it an accident? I say probably. Now, some people are saying they don't understand how she could have 4 days to live. If she's in renal failure, they can put her on dialysis. She can get a kidney transplant. But I do think, I'm not a doctor here, but I have personally experienced I think many people have this. You may experience someone you know or love or care about in the hospital with an issue that should be treatable, but due to complications from other issues, they cannot do it. That is, suffering a serious accident, leaving half your body bruised. She may have other injuries where they're saying, we are not sure you would survive a transplant at this point, or whether or not dialysis can work with the severe degree of injuries to your body. That is, I hope it's not 4 days to live. And they're saying, if we don't get you treatment, you have 4 days to live. Hopefully they can get her treatment, because this is actually pretty scary. Nobody believes that Jeffrey Epstein took his own life. I'm sorry. Anybody who says they do, they're saying that for some PR reason, because nobody believes it. It was a viral trend. And I ask you right now, I tell you, go out anywhere in New York City, ask anybody, do you think Epstein took his own life? No way. Now there are questions about why we still haven't gotten these documents. Why Pam Bondi brought in a bunch of conservative influencers, handed binders to them, which they held up in front of cameras, and these binders contained nothing. With the story from Bloomberg, we're hoping we'll get some information soon, but I'm not sure it's likely. They're going to mention Republican Senator Marsha Blackburn has been pushing for the release of additional Epstein records. When Trump ran for a second term, he dangled the possibility that as president, he would release an Epstein client list. And we want Patel, in response to a question from Blackburn about Epstein, at his confirmation hearing, said he would make sure the American public knows the full weight of what happened. Last month, Pam Bondi, in a heavily publicized event, released the first wave of Epstein records. She invited former Pizzagate provocateur Jack Posobiec and other influencers to the White House and gave them binders labeled the Epstein files and the most transparent administration in history. I don't think that was written on that, was that? I'm not sure. She suggested that the records would contain new details such as names and flight logs. Instead, she was ridiculed online by Trump supporters because the files had been previously released. Bondi then sent a letter. Now, I will clarify. Some of the information in it was unredacted, meaning there is somewhat new information, but other information was redacted, which was kind of weird. So there was a little bit more released, but it was nothing incriminating and it was nothing of consequence. It was just ancillary stuff. So, you never know how valuable those things may turn out to be, but for the most part, nothing substantive. Bondi sent a letter to Patel saying she'd learned from a source the FBI withheld thousands of pages of Epstein documents. She demanded that the department deliver the full and complete Epstein files to my office. Bondi also directed Patel to conduct an investigation into why the FBI didn't turn over the records she'd requested. She asked the FBI director to provide her with a comprehensive report of your findings within 14 days. So, we haven't gotten that report. Nothing's been made public as to what's going on here. I'm a fan of Kash Patel. I think he's doing good work. Pam Bondi came out. They arrested an MS-13 gang leader. I do appreciate that. And I'm not going to, I know a lot of people are banging the table, screaming, saying, where's the information? I'm not going to play that game as hard. I know that they're probably dealing with very difficult issues. We've had Kash is a friend of the show. We've had him on several times. This guy's always been honest and straightforward, even when his opinion would not be aligned with our audience. I respect it. On my show, when asked about Julian Assange, he said, I don't think he should be pardoned for these that are reasons, despite knowing that the people listening to his interview and many Trump supporters largely are on board with the pardoning of Assange, though he's since been released. And I believe it was, I'm not sure if it was a pardon, but it was a commutation or a deal was cut. I think it was a plea. So Kash always seemed to be playing it straight. So I'm going to say this. Yes, we want these documents. Yes, get them out now as soon as you can. But I fully recognize it's not going to be as easy as we all want it to be. And I do trust Kash and Pam. So I'm hoping that they can actually get the job done. As for what happened to Virginia Giuffre, of course, the question is it an accident? It seems to be. I'll just say this. Accidents happen. We don't know if she's going to lose her life or what, but considering the proximity to the potential release of files and she being one of the principal witnesses to what happened, what people need to understand, they're going to say, why after all this time? Why try to take out this witness? Okay, again, I'm not saying we know that's the case. Now, there are some potentialities. One, revenge. You've got someone who came out, published information, besmirched the name of a prince. Somebody might want revenge. Send a message. Don't speak out against us if you know what's good for you. Or maybe there's information Virginia Giuffre has that's not been released in testimony. Perhaps it seems to be innocuous. But I'll tell you this. There could be something as innocuous as, I saw a man with thick black glasses at a party once. And you might be like, what does that mean? And then someone else says, I believe this guy was involved with Epstein. He's known to wear thick black glasses. No photos, no evidence, but now you have a corroborating witness statement, which could be something to launch off an investigation, even if it's just in the public sphere, not in the actual criminal sense. That is to say, people begin speculating that someone else was there, maybe not just a prince, maybe other people. That could be really bad for the stock value of a major corporation. And so, you get a bus driver and you say, well, make sure your family's well taken care of. And I know a lot of people want to say, Tim, it's a conspiracy theory. She probably just got hit by a car. This is ridiculous. I wish I could agree with you on that one. I do think the simple answer is a bus crashed. I don't know the driver. I'm not suggesting there's evidence of anything untoward. I'm just saying, when dealing with a story of this magnitude, nothing makes sense. So let's try the bigger picture. A wealthy individual who was a high school teacher all of a sudden finds himself worth $500 million, the private island where powerful leaders are flying to and from and accusations of sex trafficking and blackmail operations are occurring, gets away with it for a very long time. Eventually, based on statements from Virginia Giuffre and others that are released by a FOIA request, Epstein is finally arrested, where they claim the camera stopped working, the guards fell asleep, and he killed himself. Jumping off the top of his bunk in a tiny cell with a sheet around his neck, snapping a bone and killing himself. He had also been in a previous jail cell where the guards also were seemingly unaware, and he was found beaten to a pulp with bruises on his neck and survived. Then the documents are supposed to be released several years later, but they don't get released. Pam Bondi, the Attorney General, says on TV, "What I've seen is sickening. I've got them." Instead, nothing new is released. A promise that new documents will be released is made, and then shortly after that, the key witness that reignited the case is slammed by a bus at 110 kilometers an hour and in the hospital saying she's about to die. You tell me. Could just be an accident. Don't know. Crazy story, though. I'll wrap it up there. Stay tuned. We got more segments coming up. And follow me on X and Instagram, and we'll see you all shortly.